Hey, good afternoon. I am trying a different time. I'm not sure if people are on, but I thought I would try 12 o'clock for something a little earlier. I think people listen at work. That's what I kind of do. I thought I would try it out, something different. Can you guys hear me? I'm still a little new to this. I've only done this for a couple of weeks here. I don't know if you guys can hear me. If you can. Oh, thank you, David Cole. I thought I'd talk about the Bad Bunny thing really quick this morning, afternoon, whatever it is. It's because he's not white. That's what this is really about, this whole MAGA thing. It's about making America white again. Someone doesn't speak English, someone's not white, they're upset. Look at how they're demonizing immigrants. They've been here for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, never committed a felony. Being an undocumented immigrant doesn't make you a criminal or a bad person. People came here for various reasons. But at the same time that they're celebrating immigrants being zip-tied, windows broken, shoulders being dislocated, they're voting for a white man who's an adjudicated rapist and a convicted felon. Somehow that's okay. That's what you're seeing right now across this country. He's going after black governors and blue states and black mayors. What happened in Chicago last week was disgusting and despicable. They're racially profiling people in this country. That's what this is, the original sin of this country. That's what the whole Bad Bunny thing's about. They're literally going to boycott the halftime show because of Bad Bunny. Tommy Lauren, whatever the hell her name is, that twit, was all bent out of shape about it. Why? Now they're going to boycott the halftime show because Bad Bunny's on there? Well, he's not white enough? He doesn't speak English good enough? So now they're going to have what are they going to have, Kid Rock? Well, the guy's an alcoholic. It's ridiculous. They just need to be the victim of everything. That's what this is about. It's about... The media does a piss poor job about this. This isn't about taxes or tariffs or cost of living or making your life better. It has nothing to do with that at all. Zero. They're upset that their version of white America is going away and it scares the hell out of them. Yeah, Kid Rock is a loser. He is. And anybody that supports this president, this cosplay president, this convicted felon, is a loser. That's what this is. They need to be the victim, right? It's CRT, then it's DEI, then it's diversity, then it's Black Lives Matter, and then it's Black History Month, then it's Asian History Month, then it's Native American History Month. They're scared of Bud Light, trans people, gay people, Antifa, whatever the hell that is. The media doesn't tell the truth because they need to get rage bait so you'll like it. I'll give you an example. I just watched a documentary called The Poop Cruise on Netflix. What was it about? So CNN decided if they're going to cover this story about a cruise that lost power at sea because the bathrooms overflowed. That's what CNN decided to do, was to cover that. That's it. Because it's rage bait. The fires in Lahaina. Have we watched any of the recovery efforts? No, because it's not tantalizing. How about the flood in Texas? Have we seen the recovery? No. How about the Hurricane Helene? Have we seen the recovery? No. We like to watch things burn. We like to watch school shootings. Oh, it's horrible. It's 12 hours later, thoughts and prayers. There's just nothing I can do. That's why the media doesn't cover it, because we're addicted to outrage. That's just a sad reality of it. I mean, just think about this racist podcaster that passed away of a gun violence. He was a piece of shit that said that black people were taking white jobs, who said that Joe Biden should be executed. This is the guy that they view as a savior. It's because he's white. But why are they getting their panties in a twat over that? 40 to 47,000 people die every year from gun violence. every goddamn year. Thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. Lincoln Riley. Oh my gosh, it's a brown person. Oh, it's a brown person. Ooh, scare the white people. Ooh, put her on posters. Put her on donation emails and text messages. Oh, let's put her on a bill. Let's put her in front of a Congress. Oh, the poor little white girl, the brown person. How about Ahmaud Arbery? Was George Floyd put on Air Force Two? Was he in the rotunda? Is there a national day of remembrance for George Floyd? No, because he's the wrong demographic for them. Not the 6-year-olds that were the victims of gun violence with shotguns at the Catholic Church just weeks before. Thoughts and prayers. There's not, yep, Trayvon Martin, same thing. Because they're the wrong demographic. But this racist piece of shit, which is what he was a horrible person. All of a sudden, these white people think that Jesus Christ is coming himself. Oh, it's the Great Awakening. Really? Really? A quarter million people have died? You got people starving to death in this country, people with no health care, but a racist white podcaster, this is the guy that you're going to get your panties in a twat over. They're stupid. They need to be the victim of something. But the guy in the White House is not the problem with this country. He is a symptom of a larger problem of white supremacy. That's what he is. That's it. This is the sin of our country, not dealing with the lost cause. That's exactly what this is. We let those racist pieces of shit get away with it. And what happened is when they got their asses kicked because they couldn't keep slavery, they said, oh no, we didn't lose. We're actually patriots. We're heroes. So they praised Robert E. Lee. They said it wasn't about slavery, it was about states' rights. That's a bunch of bullshit. Mississippi said that slavery cannot end because black people, in their words, the Negroes, were the only skin color that God designed them to pick our produce. That in these tropical conditions, if we ban slavery, it would be detrimental to the commerce of the United States, to the Union. Does that sound like a states' rights issue? No, because it was never about states' rights. But that's what they did. They created the Daughters of the Confederacy, and they lied to themselves. Generation after generation after generation. We're the heroes. We're the heroes. No, you're not. They were racist, and they fought for racism. And we let it go unchecked. We didn't punish them. Nobody went to jail. Nobody got put on outcast, on Misfit Island. Nothing. We just let it go. We took the top of the weed, and we left the roots. And that's what MAGA is. The roots have resprouted, and it went from a white hood to a red hat. That's why we're here. Yeah. Mississippi, Alabama, they're all dumbasses because they have a shitty life. They date their sister, they marry their cousins, they live in trailers, they have no money, they have no wealth. And what do? They listen to their Republican senator, little Billy Bob. I'm sorry that you sleep with your sister and you have inbred children, but it's not your fault you have a shitty life. Vote for me. Blame the blue team. The libs are the problem. And then those politicians give tax breaks to the rich people. Then those rich people give donations back to the Republicans. And the Republicans do nothing. All they do is start culture wars. You blame the brown people. You blame the immigrants. You blame trans people and drag show readings. And you scare the white people into thinking that their version of America is going away. And then they go back and they vote for Republicans. It's like shitting on your front porch. And then this Klan leader comes in the office, Billy Bob. It's not your problem that you're like this, that your life sucks, that you're a lazy ass, that you're poor. No, Billy Bob, take no personal responsibility. Blame everybody else that's not white. That's exactly how Hitler came to power. And that's what Benito Mussolini turned into later on in his fascist regime. You blame the brown person, the black people, Antifa. You find an enemy of the people. And that's where we're headed as a country. I'm sorry, Love and Light. And I have unfriended people that have stood silent. Martin Luther King, who I adore, said that we're not going to remember the voices of our enemies. We're going to remember the silence of our friends. And I've gone through my Facebook page. I've even unfriended my sister. If you're sitting by and watching what's happened in this country right now, and you're still sitting in your white privilege complaining about the traffic at high school, I don't want to be your friend because we're not the same. That's white privilege. Sitting around, letting nothing happen. It is. It's disgusting. How could you go to church on Sunday and say, love thy neighbor as thyself, while you're watching Black Hawk helicopters coming to Chicago, break doors, zip tie kids, grab people that are naked out of their fucking beds, and then put them in the back of a U-Haul? And per the eyewitnesses, the ICE agents said, fuck the children. This is what they're saying. And they're like, nope, sorry, not my problem. I don't do politics. I'm sorry. I didn't know that zip tying 10-year-old kids for hours and scaring the hell out of them was politics. I thought that was just being a good person. There's 12 or 1,500 immigrants that are just missing in Florida. Nobody knows where they are. Nope, nothing to see here. Can't do it. I had a cousin that I thought was a good person, but she ended up being the typical white evangelical. They're not Christians, they're Pharisees. They're a bunch of people that quote Bibles and have gold crosses everywhere. God, God, Jesus, Jesus, God, God, while they voted for a rapist president. Yeah, because nothing says I love Jesus like voting for a man that does that, or grab women by the pee, going to Epstein Island, walking into 15-year-old teenage girl locker rooms and watching them get undressed. Yeah, such a Christly man. I have to vote my faith. What kind of fucked up faith do you people have that you think that's Christianity? I mean, it's disgusting. The Republicans are literally preventing people from releasing the Epstein files. You have the survivors that are reliving these horrors every damn day. Every day. And they're defending it. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here at all. But see, my cousin was a symptom of the problem. She didn't comment on birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, vacations, nothing. Zero. Nothing about the guy in the Oval Office, nothing about the insults or people in concentration camps. But she came out of the woodwork like a fucking cockroach and complained about a racist podcaster. He said that dead Americans is worth the cost of the Second Amendment. This is the piece of shit racist that my cousin decided to defend. Oh, that's out of context. Oh, are you saying because I voted for Trump? Block. Yes, you are a shitty person. You are. Are you not supposed to build your wealth in heaven, where moth and rust, decency, morality, integrity, kindness, compassion, forgiveness? Oh, I just wanted cheap eggs. So that's where the line is, right? They don't want all that nice stuff. They just want worldly possessions. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And that's what Republicans have done in these fake Christians, these Pharisees. They have said that worldly wealth is more important than the traits that they claim to follow. Do you think that Jesus would own an M16? Do you think that Jesus would sit by and watch innocent children getting shot? Think about this, okay? Billy Bob here with his guns, right? Because he's American, he's a patriot because he got guns because he got a small penis. And he's going to sit here in heaven. And he's going to go up to heaven with his M16s and his Glock and his 6 Sauer. Hey, Jesus, I'm ready to come home. What, home? This isn't your home. Look at Sandy Hook and George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and Amber Thurman. Remember Amber Thurman? You took her rights away as a woman and she died from lack of health care. But Jesus, I'm pro-life. You didn't do a goddamn thing for any of these children. Nothing. Not a damn thing. But God, I demonize the trans people and I ban drag show readings. You can go over there with that guy. His name's Jeffrey Epstein. Good luck. You guys have a lot to catch up on. See you later. Get your ass out of here. They're not pro-life. They're forced birth. Look at what happened to Adriana Smith. She had a complication from a pregnancy in, I think it was Georgia. For 2 months, they forced her corpse to stay alive so that they can exhume the baby from her body. It's disgusting. Absolutely vile. Do they care about the medical bills that that family incurs? Do they care if that kid has special needs because they've dismantled the Department of Education? Do they care if that kid's shot in a school or movie theater? Do they care if that kid has a living wage or universal health care or affordable housing? They don't give two shits. Once the child is born, they consider it socialism. That's not pro-life, that's forced birth. But that's where you are with a lot of white Pharisees in this country, these fake Christians. They're raised in the church and they're indoctrinated not to think for themselves. That abortion and being gay is the worst. Really? So if your stance is marriage is between one man and one woman, so let's roll with that for a second for the sake of argument. But if you marry three women and you cheat on all of them, one of them with a porn star, then you commit felonies to cover it up because you don't even have the decency to admit you made a mistake. Somehow that's okay as long as you're a straight white man. But if you're Pete Buttigieg, you can't vote for him because that's outside the design of God. Or RFK, who had so many affairs on his first wife that she took her own life. But you can't vote for Pete Buttigieg because that's a bridge too far. Or Pete Hegseth, who was on his third marriage because his first wife he cheated on, his second wife he cheated on, and he had a child outside of wedlock and then married her, the Fox News host. But you can't vote for Pete Buttigieg because that's outside the design of God. Hey, Eli. But that's where they are. It's hypocrisy. The evangelical church has told white people, it's basically what you're seeing now is you're going to see a split in the church. You're going to see the churches that actually push the male white patriarchy. And you're going to see the actual churches, hey, Joanna, the actual churches that are going to denounce it. There is an old phrase in the Old Testament, or not the Old Testament, in the old days called winnowing. You know those old metal pitchforks, kind of like rakes? They would toss the wheat up in the air. And you would separate the heads of the wheat from the chaff. That's what you're seeing right now. Tallarico is good. He's a good dude. And you're seeing that the chaff is the MAGA. They're the fake Christians. That's what they are. And there is a lot of them. They think because there's a lot of them that it's okay, and it's not. There's just a lot of bad people. Remember the MAGA rapper clown that I sent you the other day? Was that? I think I know who you're talking about. Yes. But that's where we are with the church. And my church took a stand. And for anybody that went to church that Sunday and left their church because think about this. These people went to church and left their church because they wouldn't say the name of a racist piece of shit white supremacist podcaster. Think about that for a second. Just let that sit in. You're supposed to go to church for God where politics doesn't belong in any way, shape, or form. And you're going to leave your church, even though 6-year-olds were murdered in a Catholic church, January 6th, and 46,000 people were murdered from gun violence, 500 mass shootings, 1,200 kids were murdered last year between the ages of 0 to 11. But this one piece of shit, you're going to leave your church because he won't say his name. Think about that for a second. They were never at church for the right reason. They were never there for God or for faith. They were there to enforce their bigotry and their judgment on anybody that doesn't fit into it. Yeah, they are disgusting people. They don't care. And I saw somebody on Facebook say, "Why are you so more upset about this racist podcaster instead of the innocent kids?" And she said, "Well, I don't know them." You didn't know him either. You listened to his podcast. You didn't know him. He wasn't your family member. He wasn't your coworker. You just knew his podcasts. Yeah. And I'm going to say this, and I'm a person of faith. If your church made whole sermons about a racist podcaster or moments of silence, leave your damn church, because that is not where that's supposed to happen. You shouldn't put the 10 Commandments in schools. You shouldn't put Bibles in schools. I say that as a person of faith who grew up in a Baptist church. I have no right to push my beliefs or religious ideologies on you. It's called free will. They don't. That is Christian nationalism, is when you're forcing people to believe your ideology. And isn't it ironic that the Catholic Church, which is primarily white men, have abused tens of thousands of young men? It's funny, huh? But somehow you put the 10 Commandments in, it's going to keep them safe. Look at how many Baptist preachers have done horrible things. That's correct. Christians started the KKK. Deacons were in charge of the KKK. And when you look at the country, look at how it was founded. Start with the middle passage that most MAGA don't even know what the hell it is. They look at you like you're like, what? What's the middle passage? That's when we sold the black African Americans over here on boats. They can't even tell you how many died. 1.2 to 1.4 million. It's disgusting. But they won't shed a tear over that. But a racist piece of shit podcaster, oh, Jesus is coming. Put his name on a coffee cup. We're going to boycott him. Just because you won't put the name of a racist on a coffee cup. This is white privilege in its purest stupidity, selfish form. And then once people come over here on the middle passage, what happens? Then we force them to pick our cotton because we're too lazy. Then we force them to raise our kids. And if that's not enough, we put them in vats of sugar, then we whip them. If that's not enough, we put them in fucking trees and go to church while they're sitting there. Praise Jesus, right? Such a Christian nation. Oh, only 21-year-old white men have rights. But hey, turn to Jesus or you're going to hell. 1,800 people died in concentration camps. Should this country continue? I don't think they should go off of strike with the government. They should leave it shut down and let it burn. We need a general strike in this country. And there's too many white people that are living their privileged lives that don't think it's going to affect them. And I believe that if you're not going to do it voluntarily, you should do it involuntarily. Break their fucking will. Oh, thank you. Force the white people to be uncomfortable. And I've been saying this for months. Until white people get a fraction of an inch of what it's like to be black, they're not going to change. So for my friends that are complaining about the traffic at school, screw you. I hope you lose your job. I hope you wake up and start giving a damn about somebody else. Let it burn to the ground. Well, what's the point? Let's play this out. And I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I think Hakeem Jeffries is an absolute disgrace and a failure. The fact that he voted to remember a racist podcaster is beyond the pale. Hakeem Jeffries belongs in Jurassic Park. Mike Johnson is a white supremacist, okay? And you got the cosplay Klan leader, who is the Klan leader of the entire Republican Party. Let's be real. Both parties suck. Let's say the Democrats win. You still have Citizens United. You still have AIPAC. You don't have term limits on Congress, Senate, or the Supreme Court. Women don't have rights. Nothing's been done about gun violence. And minimum wage hasn't been raised. What's the purpose of staying in this disaster? What's the purpose? AIPAC's a problem too. Hakeem Jeffries has taken $900,000. My senators, Adam Schiff has taken $6 million, and Alex Padilla has taken $10 million. Both sides, both Republicans and Democrats, have taken money. And if Biden did too, I don't know about Biden. He might have. If he does, then I'll call it out. Will democracy survive till a general strike in 28? I don't know. But do we really live in a democracy? Well, then screw Biden too, if that's what he did. I just haven't seen it. You could be right. I just don't know. Screw Biden too. I don't like how Biden handled Israel. Listen, this is how AIPAC works. AIPAC has a bunch of billionaires that are from China. Israel. Okay? They give millions of dollars every election cycle to both Republicans and Democrats, both parties. Now, the people that speak out against Israel, they get way less money, sometimes none. The people that get a lot of money, they almost never push back. They buy their silence. And if they speak out, they won't get money for their campaigns. Then what happens is that those people, they got donations, pass laws, and fund Israel. We give them on average, $10 to $20 billion a year to Israel. Since our partnership decades ago, we've given them almost $250 million just to Israel. Then they buy military stuff. They buy Iron Domes, and then we use it here, and we fund the Iron Dome. We build it here. We create about 10,000 jobs, more or less. And then we send it to Israel. Then Israel uses it to murder innocent people in Gaza. Hold on one second. Sorry. But yeah, the AIPAC money's awful. Dark money's awful. I mean, right now we don't have any ability to even remove members of Congress that aren't doing their jobs. There's no recall effort. Why should we not have a recall effort? Hold on one second. Sorry. I called Eric Swalwell 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. And I asked him why he didn't vote, Eric Swalwell, on the resolution for Charlie Kirk. You know what he said? Nothing. Never got back. Sorry, my wife is checking into a hotel. But this is all, listen, we're all getting screwed. We have two things going on in this country. We have the social economic inequality, and we have white supremacy. That's what we have. And they're hand in hand on a lot of this. We have a lot of rich people that are screwing everybody, and they're getting tax breaks, and you have a guy in the White House that's getting money. And you have the Republican Party that's bending a knee because they're afraid of a mean tweet, or they don't want to get donations, or they don't want to get primaried, that they would rather let the country burn than lose their jobs and stand up with the backbone. Then you have the Democrats that are watching it happen. They're doing nothing. And I asked Eric Swalwell 8 weeks ago or something like that, will you be on board with the general strike? You know what he said? If it will help the Democrats get registered voters and win the election. That's what he said. That's a big gamble. You want us to what? To protest? You want the people that are poor while you're getting paid $170,000 a year. $170,000 a year to do your damn job. While you go on CNN and MSNBC and Midas Touch and make stupid ass videos about train takes, which is what Swalwell does. He's hawking merchandise. Hold on. Let me find the video. Hold on. Where is Swalwell, this dumbass? Basically, Eric Swalwell, where is he? Hold on. If I can find it. Yeah, he basically made a video where he's hawking merchandise. No King's merchandise. He's doing stances like he's a supermodel, and he's getting 10% kickback. He's profiting off of a fucking protest to stop fascism. Think about that for a second. Just think about that. It's disgusting. And they're going to roll over on this healthcare thing. I guarantee it. Once the flights get canceled, they're going to roll over. They should let it burn. This isn't about healthcare. It is about healthcare, but it's not. The guy cosplaying president just asked for the arrest of a governor of the state of Illinois today. Think about that. The state where we have Black Hawk helicopters going down, rappelling, breaking into people's rooms, breaking doors, zip tying 10-year-old kids, grabbing people naked out of their apartments. Now he's asking for the arrest. It's disgusting. It's absolutely. but the Democrats are only fighting about healthcare. Let's say, right, then what? When is the next going to have an opportunity to do something? They're not. And they're going to wet the bed again. You know what they should demand? The release of the Epstein files before they actually vote on the bill. That's what they should do, but they won't because they're cowards. Ooh, is this politically beneficial? Ooh, I live in a D+2 district. Ooh, this is a swing district. Ooh, I don't know. I don't care about you getting reelected. I want you to fight for the people. And that's what politicians have become. They're not here to fight for you and I. They're here to make sure that they stay in power while we get screwed. Yes, the new senator too. We have a party in this country, the Republican cult, that is refusing to release the files because they're protecting a pedophile president. That's the party of family values that believes in Jesus. Let that sink in. Pro-life my ass. They are disgusting. They are. But the bigger problem isn't just the health care. Is Obamacare perfect? No, it's not. But this is the reality. We have corporations that are screwing everybody. My health care in California is almost as much as my mortgage. That's ridiculous. If it costs here and here, we are using our tax dollars to basically have you pay less, half of what you're paying. Think about that. We're subsidizing it. We're basically covering part of your Medicaid, Medicare, Obamacare, whatever it is. That's not a fix to the problem. We're wasting billions of dollars instead of fixing the broken healthcare system. That's the bigger issue that's not getting resolved. But they're not willing to do universal health care. They're not even willing to audit the Department of Defense, who is almost 25% of our budget. $1 trillion a year goes to the military. They haven't turned in a balanced budget, an audit, in 7 years. 7 years. Just think about that. Hey, Darkly, they don't have to go out to bid. That's why you pay $20,000 for a hammer or $8,000 for a toilet or whatever it is. It's a Ponzi scheme. We're all getting screwed. We're all getting screwed. That's the reality of it. This system is not designed to help us. The end of capitalism is oligarchies. That's what's happening. Yes, the Department of War is a joke. It's a bunch of wannabe alpha males. It's toxic masculinity. Joy Reid said something. Let me see if I can play her video. I don't know if I think you guys can hear it. Hold on. Where is it? Hold on. I don't know if I can. Hold on. Oops. I don't know if I can play it here. Hold on. Sorry. Joy Reid said the thing, and I don't know how to play it on here, but she said that young white men are pissed off about everything. They are. They're pissed off about gay people and trans people and black people and immigrants and brown people. They're upset that women don't want to make them babies and rub their feet and do their dishes and feed them dinner. They don't know how to be actual real men. And they're scared and they're angry. It's like a pot that's boiling water, right? And they're told if you talk about your feelings that you're somehow less of a man, that you're some kind of sissy lala. They view a guy who rapes a woman as a president as a man. They view a racist podcaster who asked for the execution of Joe Biden as a real man. They view RFK, who had so many affairs that his wife took his own life, as a real man. These people that they look up to are not actual men. They're toxic masculinity. They treat women like shit, but they don't care. They are. They're a bunch of insecure little men whose dad breastfed them too long, whose mom never loved them, who have small penises, and they overcompensate with firearms. They're angry and they're pissed off because they're told that you need to own the libs, defeat people, make fun of them, and tear them down. And that's where they are. And they turn to violence. Look at January 6th. Violence. Death threats to judges. Look at Melissa Hortman. Violence. Paul Pelosi. Violence. 98% of gun violence are men. Men. The vast majority are white men. U.S. citizens. Look at that. The Catholic Church. Uvalde. Sandy Hook. Melissa Hortman. January 6th, primarily white men. Ahmaud Arbery. George Floyd, a white cop with his knee on his neck. Again and again and again. White men are the problem. Yep, the judge that had her house burned down. She was a Republican, by the way. Oh, I didn't realize Coca-Cola closed down. Was that from the budgets? But white men in this country, very young, influential, they're very stupid. And when you have people like Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro and the racist podcaster that go out there, all they do, they don't talk about issues. Let's talk about universal health care. Let's talk about bringing down the cost of housing. What do they talk about? The woke left, George Soros, Antifa, the brown people. It's all fear-mongering. Exactly what Hitler did when he came to power. That's why they're always angry. Donald doesn't even know how to love people. He doesn't love himself. He doesn't love his wife. He doesn't love his kids. He only knows how to be an insecure little bitch. And when people are like that, they're narcissists. The only version that they think that they're happy is by tearing other people down. There is a word called schadenfreude. And it's called that people love the suffering of others. And that is exactly what MAGA is. They love the suffering of others. They want people to be scared. This ICE stuff, they get off on it. They do. They enjoy it. They love watching people scared, being zip-tied, beaten, windows broken. They love it. They're sick human beings. I don't hate him because Donald is a symptom of a larger problem. He is not the problem itself. Look at how many people are supporting him that are okay with this. That's the real problem with this country, not him. Look at him. You go to a hotel room, right? And you get a black light and you put it over the sheets. Those stains were there before the black light was there. Donald is just a black light for this country. Let me see if I can play this clip from Joy Reid.
Violence that they're doing.
Oh, here we go.
The way that they're grooming young people to be violent.
Yeah, let me play this for Joy Reid really quick.
Black culture. You want to have a. So this is what we need to face, and as a country, if we don't start facing it and face,
can you hear that?
The problem is the right, not just the actual violence that they're doing, but the way that they're grooming young people to be violent. You want to talk about black culture? You want to have a conversation about hip hop culture? Let us have that in the black community. We don't need y'all for that. You need to have a conversation about what's happening to young white men. You must have a conversation with them. You must find out why they're so angry that they're picking up the guns you're letting them get, that you're making easy for them to get. And why are so many mass shootings happen? This is an actual serious conversation we need for our country. Mm-hmm. And this conversation cannot be done by Barack Obama. Y'all are not going to listen to him. It can't really be done by Bernie Sanders, although some of them listen to him. It can't be done by AOC. Jasmine Crockett can't do it. You on the right have to do it. And I don't know if there's a conservative who has the esteem of enough fellow conservatives to make that happen. Y'all ain't going to listen to Mitt Romney. But there's got to be somebody that you guys are willing to listen to say that it's enough is enough. Why are y'all so angry? You have the White House. You have both houses of Congress. You have a Supreme Court that is completely obedient to your president. They're willing to give him unlimited power. They're willing to say that he can take SEAL Team 6 and kill anybody he wants. They were willing to affirm that. They're willing to say that ICE can racially profile anybody they want. The United States Supreme Court has said you can racially profile Latinos based on their accent or the way they look. You guys have everything you want. You have legal racial profiling. You've ended DEI. You've ended affirmative action. You get all the best jobs, even if you're not qualified. You can be a Fox Weekend host and be the Defense Department's Secretary of Defense. You can be Kash Patel and be a podcaster who wants to go to Valhalla and run the FBI, as long as you're conservative. You have everything. Why are y'all so angry? What the fuck are you angry about? You've banned all of our books. You've banned Black history. You banned the 1619 Project. You don't have to compete with women for jobs. You've chased them out of the military. You've chased them out of the senior positions in the Department of Defense. You've gotten rid of all the Black history in the museums. Museums are terrified. I have contacts that I'm talking to inside of the Interior Department, people who are running all of those spaces where you can go and see a Civil War memorial or something. The people who work in these places are terrified. They're afraid to tell the real history. The people who are working for the federal government are afraid to say the word Black. You guys have canceled Black scholarships. You're damn near, I guess, ready to get rid of HBCUs. Donald Trump just recently said they're not going to fund any minority serving institution. Y'all have gotten rid of that. You've gotten rid of help for Black kids to go to college. What more do you want? What are you so angry about? I go every so often, I go and lurk and look on X Twitter. Y'all are the maddest people ever. Y'all are so angry for people who have everything. Y'all said you want your country back. You have it. The rest of us are sitting back and trying to keep our peace and preserve our peace while you all are running the country.
Shane said a damn lie. Not a damn thing. It's white supremacy. She knows it. I know it. The problem is that we have a media system, including places like Brian Cohen and Midas Touch, that are a bunch of fucking whores and they're grifters. They spend their days grifting senators, congressmen, governors, mayors, because they want fucking money. They want you to be upset. Here, I'll show you. Watch. Let's go to Midas Touch. Because this is the problem. It doesn't matter if a Democrat or Republican wins. This is not a political issue. This is an issue of white supremacy. This is all about the original sin of this country. Well, I'll show you the thumbnail. Look. You see how they're designed? Caught on tape. Major panic. Total meltdown. Suffering in public. Invasion wrecks everything. Disaster. Judge takes up arms? They're grifters, people. They're all grifters. That's what they are. They don't want to talk about the actual problem. So if it has to be someone like me to start it, then that's what it's going to have to be. Yes, and Joe Rogan is a piece of shit too. And Joe, I don't care. If you want to talk about it, go ahead, Joe Rogan. Because I want to know, Joe Rogan, if your mom was E. Jean Carroll and he had raped her, would you vote for him? If your daughter was 13-year-old Katie Johnson, Joe Rogan, would you have voted for him? If your father was Officer Sitnick, would you have voted for him? Hell no, you wouldn't have, you piece of shit. You overlooked it because you wanted to be a toxic masculinity. You wanted the bros to like you and think that you were some kind of alpha man. You're not. You're a coward that voted for a rapist. That's what you are, Joe Rogan. And I don't care if you have I don't care if every person on planet Earth follows you. I don't care if you're worth $8 trillion. That doesn't make you a fucking good person. They all supported this. All of the young white men. And that's what you see with Dana White, this little wannabe alpha male who's hit his wife. That he wants to have the UFC. Yeah, I'm a real man. Oh, I eat raw eggs and raw steak and I catch salmon with my bare teeth because I'm an alpha male. He is the problem with this country. There's too many young white men that think that that's masculinity. Why am I going head to head with PTL? I don't know. I just want to try a different time. Brian can do a show. I do my show. I'm just trying a different time. I usually do it at 7:00 at night. Well, this is what I'm saying. It's a little tight in my head. Sorry. So let me ask you a question. Midas Touch, Brian Cohen, and all these guys. What are they solving? And that's really the problem, right? I could tell you, I could say, this is happening, right? So what are they solving? What conversations are they talking about, which is the problem with young white men that are angry, that are murdering people? Are they talking about gun reform? Are they talking about white supremacy? Are they talking about racism? They're not. Am I beefing with Brian? No, I haven't even mentioned his name. I'm not sure where that's coming from. I haven't talked to Wayne in a couple of weeks. I was supposed to go on a show a couple of weeks. It didn't work. I don't know. Right, but CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they're all grifting. When is the last time a news organization said, let's see CNN as an example, okay? Scott Jennings, the white nationalist, is up there every day simping for his orange daddy. When is the last time somebody said, Scott Jennings, if you're such a man of God, how did you justify voting for a man who was an adjudicated rapist? How did you justify January 6th, Scott Jennings? Why? Why does CNN not have that conversation? Why does he get a free pass? See, that's the problem. When you see these people arguing with people on the right, and I'm not even a Democrat, there's no, look at Destiny on these UNF America tour, okay? Hold on. Let me get rid of this guy here. Hold on. That's really mature. I deleted him. What's the purpose? All he is yelling at people, calling them dumb. How does that fix universal health care? Look at Bernie Sanders. Love Bernie Sanders. But let's also be real. Oligarchy, tax the rich. That's cool. So let's look at Walmart. Walmart's the largest employer. 15,000 people need assistance. So you and I, with our tax dollars, are subsidizing their medical needs. Okay? Think about that. CEO makes 495 times the median employee, which is about $31,000. Why in the holy hell do we have to spend our money for them when this guy's getting paid $17-18 million a year? Where is Bernie? And again, I love Bernie Sanders. Where is his solution? Great, you tax the rich. Let's say you tax Walmart. Then what? Where does the money go? To the government. Cool. Great job, Bernie. You didn't fix the problem. 15,000 people are still on government assistance, right? Nobody in the political scale wants to talk about that problem. How do you get them more money? How do you force Walmart to pay those people a goddamn living wage? Nobody's talking about that. That's the problem. They're ignoring it. They're scaring you with the problem. It's part of the problem, but it leaves out the solution. You don't give tax breaks. He's talking about the corporations, but Senera, what I'm saying is, how do you get them to pay more money? You take away the tax benefits for the rich people. You want to pay your guy $18 million a year? Cool. Anything over $1 million, no, it's not taxes. Taxing them does not get a living wage. If you tax Walmart at 50%, that doesn't get those people out of poverty. You say anything over $1 million, you don't get to write it off on your taxes. If you want to give stock options to your people, you don't write it off. If you want to pay your people a living wage, I will give you a tax write-off of $4 for every $1 you spend on your employees. Pay them the money. They're busting their ass. They need it. That's what we should do. And that's not happening. Taxing the rich moves the money to the government. Tariffs. You and I pay for tariffs. The money goes to the government. Every solution that I've heard from a politician sends the money back from the government. I don't want them to have my money. I want you to have it in your pockets. Because what that does is it perpetuates generational poverty. Nobody's raised minimum wage. When I interviewed Eric Swalwell 2 months ago, I asked him, why didn't you raise minimum wage? Well, we were trying to be middle of the road. Fuck you. You didn't do your job. Now you want us to vote for you again so you could not do your job again? If I don't do my job, I get fired. So should you. Minimum wage has been $7.25 since 2009. Tipped workers. Does anybody know what they make an hour? What is the minimum wage for a tipped worker? Guess. Like a waitress. $2.13 an hour. The country that has a $4 trillion operating budget gets paid $2.13 an hour. Greatest country in the world. 36.8 million people live in poverty. 14 million kids go to school hungry. 800,000 homeless. 3 people have as much wealth as half of this country. And we're wasting all of our time talking about the Epstein files. I mean, Neither party has done anything to make our lives better. It's $2.13 an hour. Minimum wage should be a minimum of 15. Should it be higher? It should be about 22.55 based on the cost of inflation at 3% a year. But you also have to be aware of the fact that small businesses are going to get screwed if you just double it or triple it. There has to be a way to shield the small businesses where they have to pay more, but you have to stick it to the corporations because they're the ones who are screwing us. That's correct, Shiloh. And I had to live on that for 30. See, that's the problem, Shiloh. I believe that tip workers should be making $7.50 an hour plus tips, and then $50 an hour for minimum wage. And you should work your way up from there. Minimum wage is $7.25 for hourly workers and $2.13 for tipped workers. See, Shiloh got $2.13 an hour. The greatest country in the world pays waitresses $2.14 an hour. We're not a great country, people. Not just from an economic standpoint. We lead the world in 3 categories: incarcerations, gun violence, and military spending, and racism. That's it. Not education, not happiness, not quality of life, not wages. Those 3 things. We're getting screwed. If you go look at Germany or Sweden, they pay a 35% tax. Yeah, it's a lot, but you know what? They don't have people living on the streets. They don't have people in poverty. They have free public colleges, universal health care. Women have the right to do what they want with their bodies. They have family leave. They have a better quality of life. What we've done is that we've traded a good quality of life for capitalism. That's what Republicans ask every 4 years. Are you better off? Well, basically, the question isn't if you're better off. It's, do you have more money? That's not a better quality of life. Shouldn't the government try to put a cap on corporate businesses like how there is a salary cap? But see, the problem, here's the problem, Eli, with where we are. Yes, I don't disagree with you. But when you do that, you're talking about regulation. And part of this country doesn't want that. But then the downside is that they screw us. Look at Walmart. Walmart goes into small towns, and for 2 years, they operate at a loss. Why? Because they want to put the small businesses out of business. They want to take over the entire town, so they're completely dependent on Walmart. And then after that, they hire the people that lost their jobs. They pay them a shitty wage, and then they start to raise the prices. See, in a free capitalistic society, that's acceptable. That has to stop. Because those small businesses are the lifeblood of what makes this country great. Otherwise, we're just going to have Walmarts. Who was from Germany? RR, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Germany reject Walmart because they didn't want crappy wages and they didn't want to hurt small businesses? Oh, hold on. Sorry, I didn't see him. Hold on. Let me hide him. You're going to have people like that. Yeah, he's gone. I deleted him. Right. Walmart and Germany didn't work out because Germany says we want a better quality of life. We don't want you to shit on our people and pay them a crappy wage and work for your crappy corporation. So they kicked them out. Yeah. And they don't have Walmart crapping on small companies. We're not a great country. We've never been a great country. We've been indoctrinated by this country since we're little that we're the best of the best of the best of the best. That you're only supposed to look at the white parts of history, not all of it. We're raised in American flag diapers. We eat our Freedom Wheaties. We pray to the flag. We worship the flag. We stand before. We treat it like it's a goddamn deity. Then we feed our pet bowl legal. We go in our car. We polish the Constitution. We listen to God Bless America, and then we polish our guns in the back. America, America, yeehaw! And that's what we do. We're not. That's not patriotism. That's nationalism. And when you bring up actual history to people, like the Trail of Tears, 100,000 people were forced off their lands that we promised through treaties to let them keep. Over 5 or 8 years, 100,000 Native Americans, mainly Cherokee, were kicked off their land. 16,000 died. Starvation, sickness, freezing to death, a wide range of things. But you know what we call it? The Great Westward Expansion. And we put a white man on a horse with a rope and an American flag and say, "Yee-haw!" And we put a gun on his belt because he's American. And that's how we whitewash a history. It is. That's what our country is. They just don't want to see it. They don't want to admit that that flag that they view as a symbol of freedom is a symbol of oppression for a lot of people in this country. They just can't do it because it breaks their little pea brains. Yes, Eli, you're right. One of the reasons we have a lot of overweight people is because fast food restaurants go into areas that don't have a lot of money, generational poverty, and they sell them cheap food instead of getting healthy food, and it creates this generational obesity. There we go. Yeah, I deleted them. Yeah, but we worship the flag. We are a white nationalist society. That's what Stephen Miller is. Stephen Miller is a awful human being, and I don't say that lightly. He is a horrible human being. He is a very dangerous person. Very. If it was up to him, he would have 100 million people all white. Those were his words, not mine. He is a dangerous person. You could argue that he's a Nazi. Stephen Miller is great compared to what? Hitler? I usually don't get this many trolls, so that's okay. Yeah, McDonald's. I don't eat McDonald's anymore. But that's what this is. I mean, Joy Reid said it right. It's a bunch of angry white young men. And that's what the racist podcaster and people listen to Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens listen to. They're not stupid people. They're very smart. They're very good at manipulating people into culture wars and making them think that their version of white America is going away. That's what they're good at. That's what it is. They manipulate them. And a lot of that starts in the evangelical church. Don't question God. Don't question the Bible. Don't question the pastor. I'm a person of faith, but I also can't say, "Oh yeah, Mario, I wanted to try something a little different 12 o'clock versus 7 because a lot of people were late." It was like 10, 11 o'clock at night on the East Coast, and people don't listen. Candace Owens is black. But she's very good at grifting off of people's emotions. That's what a lot of people on the right are good at doing. She was a Democrat. I'm not sure who we're talking about here. I don't understand how these crazy people can have power. Well, crazy people because nobody's standing up. The Democrats have no backbone. What the Democrats should have done is when Mike Johnson went on break, Hakeem Jeffries, that Timo congressman, and that dinosaur Chuck had a backbone or a sack, what they should have done is told every Democrat to see that we're going to protest with everybody. We're going to video what's going on, that there's no problem here. And then they should have grabbed a sleeping bag and a pillow, and they should have occupied the halls of Congress and held unofficial hearings and invited the media in and shown this country what's going on. But the Democrats don't have a backbone to do it. That's what they should have done. My leftist bias is showing. Okay. Hold on. I don't have a mod right now. Yeah, the Democrats, I look at this metaphorically. Look at what happened to George Floyd. This is how I look at it metaphorically, as just from a metaphor. You have the Republicans that have their knee on the neck, and you have the Democrats that are standing by watching it happen. Who's more complicit? Both sides are complicit. One is doing it offensively, and one is doing it defensively by lack of action. They're both complicit in what's happening. And you're going to see the blue MAGA that defend the Democrats. We have to vote for them. Really? How's that working out? Then the next 2 years, if they happen to win, what's going to happen? Well, first, the orange is going to say it was rigged, it was fake, and he's going to piss off his uneducated, toxic masculinity base. And then they're going to spend the next 2 years bitching and moaning with the guy in the White House, talking about Jeffrey Epstein, talking about a rigged election, talking about this and that, impeaching him, probably opening another stupid January 6th hearing. And then what? The US dollar's down, what, 20%? The economy's on the toilet. Nobody's using us as a trade partner. Moody's degrades us down to a B or a B plus. And then Canada, Japan, and China cash in our $2 trillion in debt, and the US dollar's in the toilet. That's where we are. And we all lose. And that's what MAGA doesn't understand. We go to a football game, right? You pay for the parking, you pay for the hot dogs, you pay for the tickets, you pay for the sodas. And you cheer for your team. Okay, let's say your team wins. What do you win? Nothing. Let's say you lose. What do you lose? Nothing. You're still stuck with all the prices of going there. And that's what politics has turned into. MAGA's like, my team won, my team won. Well, America lost, but I won. No, you didn't. You literally lost your rights. You're going to lose your farm. You can't afford health care. You lost everything, but my team won. Whoop-de-doo. But they're so dumb, they can't even understand that they actually voted against themselves, but because they feel like they've won through toxic masculinity, to their little pea brains, that's enough. Ilhan Omar, I know a little bit about her. I got to look at her a little more. She's not completely wrong. I think if Ilhan Omar was a white man, people wouldn't be as hard on her. Yeah, I don't know why Democrats, if they're doing it politically, I don't understand. I really, truly don't understand how the Democrats are crapping the bed so bad. They're literally just walking around waiting for them to win the midterms and hoping that there's a democracy left. Their platform is, I'm not a Republican, vote for me. Look at John Fetterman. Dude's an absolute joke. He's my least favorite Republican. He's an absolute clown. Yeah, he is. He complained about not being at the beach with his family for a vote. Now he's saying, oh, this is bad for the economy. Well, no shit, John Fetterman. So is fascism. Like, John Fetterman went down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the guy's ass. I'm sure he didn't say, hey, Mr. President, what are your thoughts on January 6th? Hey, Mr. President, what about 13-year-old Katie Johnson? John Fetterman didn't have the balls to say anything. He went down there to kiss his ass so he can be in a purple district. It seemed like he's a middle-of-the-road guy with his hoodie. That's all John Fetterman is. He has no backbone. He's a grifter. Yeah, Joe Rogan's a grifter too. He knows how to talk to young, toxic masculinity white men who feel like their version of masculinity is going away. A lot of young men they don't view women as equal, and that's a problem. They think that women should be serving them, making them babies, rubbing their feet, serving them dinner, and that's it. That's what it is. Candace Owens does a lot of things. She's not stupid. She's very smart at what she does. What about breaking points? I don't know that one, Mario. Sorry. Yes, the guy in the Oval Office is deteriorating. He's decomposing. There's something obviously going on that we don't know about. He's not going to say it. Yeah, we are living in a South Park episode. Traditional family values, protecting a pedophile and voting for a man that can't even keep his wedding vows. Yeah. All right, my friends. I am going to go to the gym. I'm trying this out. I love the USA. Yes. I love this country too, but I also am not going to be afraid to criticize it. There's too many people that are afraid to criticize America because they think it's un-American. I would argue that's the most American thing. That's actually patriotic to criticize the country to make it better. That's the only way you can be better. All right, my friends. All right. Bye bye.